Welcome back, my nomads. Welcome back to another Bitcast. I'm back at it again with Zach. What's going on, Zach?
10,000 years later, man.
I know, man. It feels like it's been forever, bro. So we do got a lot of talks about. You want to start with our main event or do on some topics?
Let's do some topics. I feel like the main event's heavy. Let's wait on that.
All right. Let's try to get through these topics as fast as possible. Um, so let me see.
You want to talk about Witcher 4?
Yeah, let's talk about Witcher 4, man. Let's talk about Witcher 4.
All right, because I know we talked about this briefly like the other day. And you kind of like sent me some like memes and stuff on it. And so I didn't know cinematic trailers was still a thing for video games because the whole point of the next gen stuff, using that term loosely, is that you don't need to have cinematic trailers because the end game stuff is as good as anything cinematic
No.
on top of whatever the story is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess, Project Red's just, I think they're just going down the path of no return of I think every other company is just starting to learn.
So I will say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you actually read the books.
Yeah.
So they said that this is always where it was going to head down because it's always been about Cirilla.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I'm okay with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is timing, folks. The problem is that this is an oversaturation of this. I mean, I saw a poster where someone was like, 2025 is going to be fire with games, and it was just nothing but female protagonists. Now, it's been over 5 years. In the
Yeah.
media, we've just had horrible written female protagonists in video games, movies, and TV shows. So it's kind of like people are like, again,
Yeah. And
again.
I understand the fatigue on it, but I also understand that this is kind of where the storyline goes with it. Problem is with this character, in
Mhm.
terms of the games, the books, the shows, however you want to put it, this person is extremely strong. What creature or what thing are you going to be able to really throw at someone who's had time to kind of hone in on their elder power to even combat something like this? Like, that's the whole point, right? She's got the power to freeze time and do all this other stuff and zip around from, dimensions and everything. How is this captivating for a character that can't really struggle when you have that type of power, right?
Exactly. It's the Flash effect. It's the Superman effect. You know, I and again, correct me if I'm wrong because I never read the books. It looks to me like in the trailer they nerfed her because it looks like she still doesn't have control of her powers based on what happened in this trailer. You know, it looks like she just has like a little piece of control, but not fully control of all her abilities. I
Mm.
mean, like you said, she has all these powers, so why does she have two swords on her back? For what? You know what I mean? So it
She has
kind of
two
seems
swords
like they
because
have to
she's a
nerf her.
witcher. That's the path she went down, and they have two swords.
Yeah, but I'm saying even though you're a witcher, if you have the power to stop time and go through dimensions and this, that, and the third, you don't need two swords. Let's keep it a buck. Like you just don't. You know. So it's like, and she's drinking the potion. So I think they nerfed her, and maybe that might be the storyline that they're going with. Maybe she's trying to figure out what's happened to her abilities. Maybe some people have said maybe she's trying to find Geralt this time instead of vice versa, because maybe he has the answers as to why she's weaker. Maybe. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't know. I'm not really a Witcher fan, so I don't have a dog in this fight.
Mm.
But I
No,
really
it's
wanted to
just one
see what you
more.
thought of this.
I guess it's just one more story. I guess it's just one more storyline arc. Just anything. I guess universe that's just kind of getting riddled with this type of thing. Like,
Especially with the show. I mean, the show, I
yeah,
tried. I didn't watch the last season and the second to last season. I only watched the first half. It was just, it was just, and you know,
The
I'm just
casting's
gonna
bad
let
in
you.
there, and
I'm
that's
just,
the issue.
I'm, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to talk this trailer and what we're talking about now. I want to talk about two other things that tie into this, and one of them being, well, let's stick to video games. So
Yeah,
I got your initial thoughts on that. What do you did you see the Intergalactic trailer?
no,
The new Naughty Dog game.
no, but I've seen the character models,
Right,
which was enough
right.
for me. I don't need to see no trailer. Let's not do that.
So I only have one thing to say. All
Besides the
right.
fact that women look like men, and that's the only way you can have a strong character.
I mean,
Why is that got to be the
besides that,
case? I mean, but
besides that.
I mean, I kind of want to touch on that, right?
Hmm.
So now we're at a point where it's okay. We don't have enough strong female characters. Female characters are hypersexualized, over sexualized. Okay, good point. But why do they got to look like dudes? I'm not saying they
Well,
have to look like supermodels, but why do they got to look like a guy and have like men qualities for them to be strong? Like that doesn't
I
make
don't
sense.
think I don't think that's the case for the past like what 10 years. We've had this whole strong female empowerment thing.
But the
There's like
hypersexualization of it,
no. I'm talking about the masculine looking,
that's not
poorly
true
written
because
female character.
you could look at The Last of Us,
Mm.
right? Like you can see how things have changed, or you can see Horizons. Like there's, we've gone over how they've made revisions of characters from game to game, especially once our franchises. Here's another example.
Remind me of Horizon. Oh yeah, Horizon. All right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You get what I'm
Um.
saying? It's like, so like, why do we have to just constantly go down this route? I'm not saying they have to look like Stellar Blade. I'm just saying, like, if we're going to, if women are going to have like a dog in this fight too, it's like they don't all have to look like guys like every single time. I get every once in a while,
Oh, okay.
fine.
I thought you were
You get
saying
what I'm
something
saying?
else.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah. I thought you were saying. But besides that, besides.
But do you get what I'm saying though? Is like women have to
Oh yeah.
exert like masculine qualities for them to be for people to buy into it, and I don't think that's true.
You. This might be controversial to say, but you know how like when people talk about look in history and anytime any kind of rebellion rose up and took down the powers that be, they pretty much ended up becoming the same kind of
Thing
people that the powers that be were before.
always.
I feel like the people that who write these characters and stuff like that, they didn't like how females were over sexual or whatever, and then they didn't like the over masculine patriarchy kind of protagonist guys, and then they end up being this. I mean, look at this. They they ended up being the thing that they hated. You know what I'm saying? Like now their characters are females who look very mannish and who very aggressive, overly aggressive, and just But I wanted to say because I see there's a lot of backlash for the trailer, and I'm like, bro, if you take the chick out of this trailer and replace her with whatever, it's just a bad trailer. Let's call it a buck. I mean, you haven't seen it, but you're seeing it now. The trailer shows you nothing. It doesn't give you any
Hmm.
story beats. It doesn't tell you anything about the character. It doesn't tell you anything about gameplay.
Hmm.
It's just a bad trailer. This is the whole trailer. Nothing
Hmm.
happens, bro. So it's like some of the bad like people are like, oh, you're just mad. These red pill guys are just mad because another boss chick is on the scene. No, it's just a
No,
bad trailer. I'm
but
sure
it's
some
only
might be
men who
mad.
are. It's mostly guys who are defending this, just making that argument, which I still don't understand. Like, I feel like if you're just a woman in general, like, why do you have to? Most women don't look like this. Why do you have to
No, no.
go this
It's a
way?
constant. It's a constant, and it's kind of insulting if I like to women who like I know strong women who are still feminine and heterosexual. Like, why is it that every time there's a strong woman, she has to look mannish and has to
She
be
has to be
like
butch. It
gay?
doesn't get it. I
Yeah,
don't.
I know plenty of straight women who are very feminine and still very strong willed and just good people. This is the
It's
only
because
gameplay that they
they
showed.
conflate masculine qualities with strength and power, and that's the whole thing that they were fighting against. It's just been enveloped into this. Like, yes, most men play video games, but how are you going to get anyone on board to play something like this when it's not like this is a well kept secret. Most people want to play with characters who are attractive. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl. End of story. You
Facts.
don't have
And you can find a dozen, like, you could find plenty of female gamers online talking about the same thing that we're saying. They don't want to play these kind of characters. It's just a fact. I mean,
it gets
look for
tiring and
yourself.
it's sad. It's just like at some points, like, all right, when do we just stop this like circle jerk of pandering? And that's I mean, this is what we get. And no, and they'll learn the lesson. I mean, I think enough companies have started to learn their lesson on stuff. And I think when you
Excuse
get to a point where you're spending this kind of money that games command now, AAA budget games,
me.
you're going to learn the hard way. And then you'll just see, like, look, a lot of people spoke with their wallets this year, and it showed.
Ooh. Facts. Facts. This 2024 has been the year of speaking with your wallet. I mean, look at the box office numbers. They are pathetic.
Or games
Dude,
too, games as well.
exactly. Exactly, bro.
You
And
know,
I'm a theater guy. I like to watch movies in the theaters. I haven't been to the theater since like August. Cuz I'm just like I am not willing to spend money just for the sake of seeing something in the theater. I got to be
yeah,
invested. But I want to piggyback. I want to take it back to when we were talking about The Witcher 4 and you were talking about the books and how it led up to it. We were talking about timing. So, you know, and you brought up the show with the casting, terrible casting, and because they took liberties and stuff like that. So
which is fine.
I want to know your feelings on this. I'm not even going to attempt to try to say his name,
No,
but
I don't. Oh, God, I don't
now did
care.
you read the
That's
books?
Yes, I've read the books.
So I wasn't allowed to read the books and I wasn't allowed to
Yeah,
watch the movies growing up. I didn't see the movies until the pandemic, until I was 30 years
yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Let me
my
ask you
whole thing
something.
is
I'm
mhm,
cute. Just quickly. So, someone played you in a movie. And it had to be a white guy. How would you feel?
pissed.
Doesn't that kind of
But
take
again,
away from like you on stuff? Like, I just
but
Alan
I'm a real.
Rickman's not black. Last time I checked, and I know he's dead and all, but
So
why are we going down
this
this
is
road?
this is what I want to talk about. Because for me, especially because when it comes to The Witcher, when it comes to Harry Potter, I never read those books. I'm not as invested. So my whole thing is forget about the movies, forget about the video games. What does the book say that the character looks like? What does the source material say?
In The Witcher, it looks like nothing like from the shows took nothing from the books, like
And
nothing,
yeah, and I remember you telling me that. And see, that's when I have a problem with it. You know,
except for the eyes. They have Yennefer's eyes, which are
oh
purple,
yeah, yeah, I know, I know. I
but
remember you
she's
talking about
German.
that too.
I don't remember there being German Indian ladies running around in the medieval, but I understand it's fantasy and you got to have some liberties, but there's just certain things that are important in term, especially in terms of the book goes out of their way to describe what a character looks like. I think you would want
Hmm.
to do the best because
Yes.
to kind of emulate that in some kind of visual medium, because that has a lot to do with the character's interaction with others. Snape is a great example. He was picked on
Hmm.
by Harry's father because of take your pick of reasons, and he
Right.
was kind of like a dork when he was younger, and that kind of built the
Kind of a simp
character of
too.
yeah, and it built the character to how he was, where he treated Harry a certain way, right? And
Right.
it kind of came to turn. He kind of realized that in the last book when he was going through his memories and stuff. And it's like, why are we changing that? We're taking something that is so it's so important of character dynamics in all of the books, and then at the last book he realizes when Snape is already dead or dying right in front of him, he sees this, and it's like, okay, so now we have some like black guy instead. Like, what? We might as well just make Harry Chinese then. Like, who cares? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, I looked it up. Snape is described as a thin man with sallow skin, a large hooked nose, and a yellow uneven teeth.
So like most
And they
Brits.
show, yeah. It's- Here's a depiction of it.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman looks like. So my whole thing is, I want to go to the source material. Whatever the source material is, I want to know what that describes them as or what they look like in that, and I want to go by that. That's just how I am. And and it also calls to my attention that I've seen in this trend where there's a lot of race swapping with black people taking a lot of um white roles, but they're usually villain roles. If you notice that with Marvel and stuff like that, a lot of these
Right.
race swapping roles are villain. Like Denzel Washington just got cast in the MCU as a villain,
I
and
saw
I'm like,
that Black Panther, but I mean that's a
and I'm like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, take that. But I'm like, but we're all the bad guys. Like, yeah, clearly I'm black too, but I'm like,
I didn't know.
and I'm and I'm like, for those
I don't
listening,
see in
I'm
color,
black.
dude. I don't see
Oh,
anything.
please don't be
You
one of
know,
those people. I don't see color.
I don't see color. All right, you're just.
But I'm like, so you guys are okay with them turning us all in the black, like the bad guys, especially when it's not called for. Like the characters were never black to begin with, but it's all the villain roles. You feel me? So I'm
Well, how do you feel
like
about
Snape.
that? So why do they have to be villains? Like, do you think there's something underlying with it?
I do. I gotta say it because it's been like how many roles, like how many, aside from like what's it called, like Ariel and stuff like that. That was a
Mm.
good guy, but like a lot of villain roles that were traditionally white have been taken over by black people. And Severus Snape is not necessarily a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy.
It just it just it just brought up my attention because you're supposed to think he is for most of the show. Well, yeah, for the
Well, the
series.
series in general, that's the whole point, right? Like, God,
Yeah,
he's just got this. He's got this out for Harry, and you realize he was just kind of protecting him all along, and he loved him.
but it's like all this race swapping, all this like gender swapping. It's so exhausting. I'm tired of it. It takes away from the material. Again, I'm not necessarily a Harry Potter fan, but when I heard this, I have a lot of friends who are Harry Potter fans. I'm like, oh, this, I gotta tell my peoples about this. They're gonna like this. And then something like this comes up. I'm like, can we not? Can we have one thing, one show, one movie that's announced that doesn't have any controversy? Like this is just and I also think this is lazy too. I think all this gender swapping and race swapping is a lazy thing because
Hmm.
it's kind of like the studio is playing it safe. Like, oh, let's put someone of color or let's put someone who's a different gender in this. So it takes away from the laziness of our writing and our production. So if anybody doesn't like it, we can just be like, oh, you're a bigot. It's the Agatha
Well, those people are the
all the time
minority, the
stuff.
bigot stuff, and it's just like you're at a point now where like, okay, fine, I'm a bigot, shut up and leave us alone. What are you gonna do?
But it's like white noise in the media. Anytime there's like critical stuff said about a show or something that's negative, people just put that white noise of, oh, you're a bigot. So then everybody just becomes apathetic of the material because they don't know what to believe, what's
Have
happening.
you
So they
noticed
just say,
that
oh,
that media, like that the normal media in terms of like reviews and critics and all that stuff, like they're even taking big hits on. You have a lot of you have a lot of people who are kind of like solo, lone wolf type of stuff on YouTube or whatever social media that does critiques and all that stuff, and more people gravitate towards them than like Kotaku or
yes.
any of this other stuff now, for good reason.
Yeah, like IGN, they gave Black Wukong that game a bad review because it wasn't diverse enough. I'm like, it's a game about Chinese mythology, bro, made by people in China. What do you want them to be another God of War that's about Norse mythology but put a black chick in it? Like, no, bro. Like, it's it's a Chinese like What are we talking about here? The main
I
character's
didn't
a
know there were
monkey.
Black Vikings, but yeah, no, I get it. It's
Well, according to Sony, there is because with the How to Train Your Dragon, or was that Universal? It doesn't matter. They're all big studios. Like, what are we doing here? And
this, but this. Like, look, I think part of the reason why you get frustrated. Look, I'm frustrated too, is that we see the meter go the other way back to normalcy, but because it's slow, we get glimpses of it. You just think it's just going to automatically go back to normal, and it's not. Like, this is a slow moving process, and it takes time for them to really start understanding, like, the projects now that are starting pre-production are just being thought of. We're going to see this reflection of normalcy in 4 or 5 years when these projects are done or being released.
right.
That's when this
Mm-hmm.
happens. So this stuff that's being released now, this is from 5, 6 years ago when this is still okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you spent all this money in, you're already got half your body in the fridge to take everyone's food. You might as well just continue. There's no need to stop now, right? So
Mm.
I
Yeah.
and look, it is what it is. And but we know. And I think we can kind of see that culture and politics are running parallel right now. So how people vote and how people act with their wallets and stuff kind of coincides with how they feel in terms of what culture should be. And
Mm.
culture's not catching up fast enough with what people want. They're tired of this, but I think this is just a very quick glimpse that the video game industry is going to learn faster than others because you don't have a choice, because gamers will just completely just disregard any of your releases. There's going to be just straight boycotts, and you have that. There's a lot of big movements on social media to boycott certain games, right? So
Oh yeah.
and look, a lot of studios don't have the ability to just shrug off $200 million here and
Nope.
there. It doesn't work like that, right? Like, they can't just write this off and just think they're going to make another one thinking, look, we're going to continue writing these types of stories and it's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. With that being said, I it's not on the agenda, but I gotta ask. I gotta ask your thoughts on the new Superman trailer.
I think James Gunn's like making he's made a lot of poor choices. So, you know,
And this or project as a whole.
most of them, most of his
Oh
decision
really?
making, I think so.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's a hot take. Okay. Oh. Look, man. I'm again another IP that I'm not really invested in because I'm not a Superman fan. But I was curious to see what he would do. You know, I liked Man of Steel.
It was
Uh,
great.
but this,
It was probably one of the best superhero movies ever made. Let's be
yeah,
real.
and because I don't know, because of the controversial ending, people felt some kind of way.
Oh, because he killed Zod? Oh, come on. That's the best part.
But
He did
now,
something that was not normal.
but I feel like over time, Man of Steel just got better. You know, over time, and it's hard to believe it's like over 10 years old.
That's not a fair thing to say, because so much crap has come out since then that it's made it look better, even though it's good by itself.
It's like the Star Wars prequel effect, you know, because of the sequels.
Having his dog in here is stupid.
Thank you, dude. Like my feeling is this feels like someone
Luthor.
gave the C. This feels like it was supposed to be a
Why is he
CW
Lex
show,
Luthor?
and then they got the budget.
I don't understand. So we had Jesse Eisenberg as the last Luthor, and now we got Nick Holt as the new one. I think that's Nick
Yeah,
Holt, right?
yeah, it's Nick
Why?
Holt.
Why? Why do we have
Why not?
guys that look? Because he looks
What is he too
deformed,
young?
dude. Nah, man. He
Some
looks like
people can't pull the
Voldemort
bald
before he
off.
got thrown into the pot and he regenerated. I just
Some people
don't.
can't pull off the bald look. It's true.
Well, he
Some people
shouldn't.
can't. Yeah, he can't. Like I'm the kind of person where I'm glad I will never be bald. It's not. It doesn't run in my family because I have a weird shaped head. It would look weird. But
I have full
bro,
hair
like
too. I just wear hats just because I like wearing hats. But dude, if I had it, because my head, like, I take
my
care of
head
my
is
hair. I
weird.
do everything I can to keep it. Because if I did go bald, I would probably have to shoot myself because I'd be ugly.
Same, same. But my issue is this looks like this looks like something that was supposed to be on the
You could turn
CW,
the trailer
but
off. I'm done seeing this insanity.
but then last minute they changed their minds and made it into a movie. They just gave them a bigger budget, and I just want to go like these costumes. My biggest issue is the costumes. They look like CW costumes. They look so bad. The Superman suit looks so bad. Uh, the Mr. Terrific suit looks so bad. The Green Lantern suit looks so bad. Like, come on, bro. These suits look so bad. Oh my gosh. I've seen cosplays better than these suits, and it's just corny. And apparently, David Cornsweet he convinced James Gunn to put the red trunks on him. Like, that looks horrible. The red trunks on him, I'm like, why are we still having this debate? Why do we still want underwear on the outside? This is weird. Like, come on, bro. Like, there's people who legit like boycott Man of Steel because he didn't have red trunks. Like, that's some weird shit, bro. Like, but it just looks bad. Like, yo, the funny thing is, bro, I gotta show you this. The funny thing is, as soon as that trailer ended, YouTube automatically put this trailer on the Man of Steel trailer. Like, it was like, oh, you watched that shit? Now watch something better. The Man of Steel trailer.
Okay, who
Like, look at
directed that
this,
again?
Zack Snyder.
Okay, so he actually made a good movie for once in his life.
That's because he didn't write it. The problem is
Mm.
Zack Snyder's not a good writer.
No,
You
he's
know,
good at directing and visuals and stuff like that, right? Like that's
right?
where he's at. But when you start giving him full control, he acts like
It's
he's got
bad.
6 disabilities, dude.
But I'm like, look at this trailer compared to the last one.
Yeah, it's
I'm
great.
sorry, bro.
It's
This
great.
is better. I mean, the suit is. Look at the
It's great.
vision. It's
And
amazing.
Superman's better. Like the casting's better.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
believable Superman because his body's built to look like that. The other guy looks like he worked to get to the. I mean, it just
Well, they said he got to like 240, like muscle bound, but you can't tell because the suit is so bad. Like, it just looks baggy. It looks like pajamas,
but
bro.
the
Like,
last suit worked with Henry Cavill because Henry Cavill looks like that naturally, which is
hmm.
crazy.
Well, he
I
got
mean,
bigger for this too. But it's just weird because the Superman suit. I remember when they showed the picture, people were like, "Well, wait till it shows up on film. It might look better." It
no,
doesn't look better.
it
It
looks
doesn't
trashed. It's
look
like
better.
someone's putting jeans over like underneath underwear.
Yes, bro. It looks so bad.
This looks stupid.
I don't
It
know,
looks like a
man.
really bad like. Remember when Twista and Pitbull did a collab way back when, and Pitbull had like the ugly camouflage shorts on? That looks like something he would wear.
Yeah, bro.
Dude.
I don't know, bro. It's just the costumes look so dorky. It throws off the tone of the movie. To me, I'm like, is this a parody? Is this like The Boys, where it's kind of like a parody of superheroes, or is this like a true blue like story
Well,
narrative of like I don't
I
know.
feel like we're talking
It
too
throws
much
me off.
shit, so I feel like we got to change it and let's talk about Mass Effect instead because I want to talk
Let's
about
do it.
something good.
All right.
I'm kidding. I'm not.
Well,
There's nothing to talk about good. I'm not optimistic about anything because I
yeah,
feel
you
like with
confused me for
after
a second. I was
because
like, wait,
after
what?
Veilguard, Dragon Age and stuff, how that just turned into that. I'm not optimistic. They're not going to do the same stupidity with Mass Effect.
I mean, you and I talked about it before. Let's stop saying, let's stop following studios because those people who made those games are not at the studios
Casey
anymore. All
Hudson's
right.
like does his own thing now, and he's the reason why Mass Effect. Because here's what happened: he did the
Mhm.
trilogy. They axed him. They did Andromeda. He
Mhm.
came back because Andromeda was a shit show. And then they
Yeah.
axe him again, and he does his own thing.
Right. It's sad though that his studio shut down. They didn't get the funding. I
That's a
was looking
shame.
forward to his game. Exodus was called or something like that.
He does
It
good
looked
stuff,
really
man.
good. It looked really good. I hope Humanoid Origin was the studio's name. I hope he like rebounds somehow with maybe
He's
he
too
joins a
good.
studio or something,
He's too good, dude.
but
I tell you what, he's too good to just let him not do stuff.
I find it hard to
Hopefully,
believe he didn't get the funding though. Like, how do
dude,
you not
guys,
give that guy the
guys
funding?
are sticky because here's the thing. When there's money attached at the level that these guys want, they want control, and he's not willing to do that.
Kotaku. But go ahead.
You get what I'm saying, though? They
Yeah,
want
I know what you're
control.
saying.
Like, look, if we're going to give you $100 million to make something, we want to say, and he's like, no, because you're going to ruin it. I have a
And
feeling that's
see,
usually what the case is.
in movies, sometimes directors will take less money so that they can give their vision. They cut back on some scenes or some visual effects. I don't know how you do that in the video game industry. I don't know how you cut back on certain things so you can get less money. I don't know if that's possible depending on the
I
game that you want
Because
to
this
do.
stuff, I mean, AAA budgets now, man. Like these games are expensive to make, plus adding marketing to it.
Now,
And
you
I
play a
mean,
lot of games.
yeah,
Have you played any AA games lately?
yeah, Helldivers,
True. I'm starting to get into AA games because they're not as bloated and they're not
Stellar
as
Blade.
political. Yeah, yeah.
I play Stellar
Like the
Blade.
Outer
It's a lot of
Worlds.
Outer Worlds is very, very good. I like Outer Worlds a lot. It's
AA
mostly on
game.
PlayStation versus Xbox. I mean, I played Indiana Jones on Xbox, which I know is a AAA game, but damn, that game was good. Um,
Hmm. But
Xbox has just been
there's a shit ton
launching.
of Game Pass AA games. Shit ton.
Yeah, they just
Hellblade.
don't really interest me because I feel like they're just too thin. There's not enough
Mm,
substance. You get what I'm saying?
mm. Yeah, I feel you.
And I want something that's like, and that's why I mean, here's the thing, dude. Like, I took a long break from Helldivers, but they did a lot of things right to get me back into it, and now they got over 150,000 players playing on a given day again because they did the right things to get people back. They were like, realize, okay, this is too much nerfing. We got to stop doing this, and then
Hmm.
they start bringing in new enemies and new stuff like that. And now it's fun again. It's like, all right, this is what you want. Just listen to what people have to say and ask for, and then you make and build your product around it, and then that's it. I don't know why this has to be so hard because these people are the ones that are paying for this stuff,
Right.
right? Like, don't do what Ubisoft did. Blame the consumer, which is always smart. Blame the consumer that they don't know anything and that your product's great and you know better. It's like, politicians, when the
Dude,
ones who lost are like, well, it's the voters' fault for why I lost. I'm like, every time you blame a voter or a consumer, you lose. Every
you
time.
lose a voter. Like, there must be a playbook because Ubisoft is not an American company, but it tailors to American audience.
It's
There must be
Canadian
like a
based or is it French?
French. There must be like a if you want to work in the West playbook, you got to go by these rules because I swear these video game companies that are not even from America but their primary audience is American. They do the same thing. They do the same playbook, the same like language whenever there's a controversy.
But
Oh,
same
it's
with
because
shows
the
and
audience. Da,
movies
da,
and
da.
stuff.
Same,
It's the same
exactly.
stuff. Have
You're right.
I don't really read modern books now, but I wonder if books are the same way. I
That's
read
a good
classic
question.
literature, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't really go out of my way to read the stuff now because it's like I have a feeling it's just bad, you know. So
I
I,
agreed. Agreed. Yeah, like
But
now
are
that you
books the
mentioned,
same
I'm not even
way?
going to
I mean,
attempt
I
it.
see magazines and I see some of the covers on these magazines. I'm like, what in the world is this? And we wonder why we have alien drones floating around New Jersey right now. And it's just like, what are we doing, guys? You know?
I think that's the aliens leaving. They're like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." Like you
Nah,
guys.
they're coming in to rep their investment. They're just going to start taking us and harvesting us because they're like, we uplifted you. It's time to harvest you. I'm going to tell you one thing though before we move to Deer Hunter.
Mm,
2025 is going to be the year of redemption for the guys
mm,
who are blacklisted, who did Mel Gibson esque type of things because they're just too talented to completely be gone.
I just finished rewatching the show Entourage. I was thinking about Jeremy Piven now that you mention it, because after his whole thing, he just
Yeah,
disappeared.
disappeared.
Talented guy, but
I watched
if you look
Family
at his
Man the other
IMDb,
day, and
he's
I
still
love him
working.
in there. Yeah. So is Mel
Oh yeah,
Gibson.
yeah, 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 yeah. I love that movie, Family Man.
Dude, that's a great
Love it.
Christmas movie. I just wanted to put it on.
Yeah, I love it. I watch it every year, bro. It's so good,
Such It's
so
so
good.
good. Like Don Cheadle's fantastic. Love it.
Peak Nick Cage, peak Don Cheadle. Well, not peak Don Cheadle, but like peak
Don
Nick
Cheadle
Cage,
is like,
Jeremy
yeah,
Piven.
he hasn't had like a real peak in terms like Nick Cage was the it guy. Don Cheadle never had that clout.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's made his money now that he's in Marvel, and he's kind of just chilled out a little bit, you know. Because before in the
Yeah,
2000s,
it's
he
big
was like
money,
in
dude.
everything, man. He was
Yeah,
in
because he works. But now you get
Oceans
the money
1, 2,
from
and 3.
Marvel. You know,
Yeah,
Marvel
now
brings a lot of money to your and I feel like Nick Cage is just kind of, I mean,
Nick Cage
he's
been
just,
had his money and been chilling out. He does passion projects. That's all he
and
does, man.
then, declares bankruptcy and gets his money back. And it's just this whole
It's
thing,
crazy.
So,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Well,
Plus, Don Cheadle's 50 in his 50s. Like he's chilling, you know.
he looks
But
great for 50.
oh yeah, Black don't crack, baby. But
All right, let's get
let's
into
get on
Deer
to
Hunter.
Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I
Oof.
watched this earlier today because this is
Yeah.
when I was able to have time. I've seen this movie 7 or 8 times. I know this is your first time watching this movie.
Jesus.
I know you had no idea what you're getting yourself into, and then you text me like, "What the heck is this?" type of thing.
I think
And
my words were, dude, this movie is raw.
it's intense.
Jeez. It feels like a
I do this
documentary.
to you because look, like there's a lot of these movies from this time period that you haven't seen, and these are the
Mm-hmm.
best movies ever made. This is what made the careers of these guys that we emulate now, right?
Right.
And there's a reason why this is what has one of the most iconic scenes in movie history with the Russian roulette moment, right?
And
And
when that came on, I immediately was like, "Oh, this is where Call of Duty got it." You
of
know,
course,
with the
everyone
bandana and
got it from this.
everything.
Yeah, dude.
Everyone got it from this.
Yeah,
Did
dude.
Apocalypse Now
This
come after this?
Apocalypse Now came out in the 80s. This was 76, 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Platoon's another good Vietnam era movie. The
Yeah.
good thing about this, what I like about Deer Hunter versus the other war movies, is that this is broken up into before, the during, and the after.
Mm-hmm.
And the during and the after are kind of blurred together because it shows that these guys are just, a lot of them are just so lost in the head or they're maimed or whatever the issue is that it's
Yeah.
tough for them to separate it. And that's part of the reason why it's blurred together the way that it is, because everyone doesn't leave it. There's a reason why Robert De Niro character's Mike wears the uniform the entire movie because he can't let it
Yeah.
go. There's a reason why that Christopher Walken's character Nicky stays in Vietnam. There's a
Mm-hmm.
reason that Stevie, when he gets his legs amputated, he's in his wheelchair and stuff. Like he's just in this. He he just does not want to acknowledge reality,
Right.
right? And it shows like they only showed a couple moments of like war and stuff, but that's all they needed. You see the Viet Cong drop the grenade in that pit with the family, with the kids and stuff, and then the woman
Crazy.
with her baby that's dead in her arms comes out and he shoots them up, and then Mikey comes in, kills him with a flamethrower, and you just need that. You just need a touch of reality, which is real. There's no hyperbole with this,
Mm-hmm.
and then they drop out of the helicopter because they're trying to escape and all this stuff, and it's this whole thing, right? And it's just this ever defining thing about friends who three of them get drafted. Well, Robert De Niro's character doesn't get drafted, but the
Nah,
other
he
two
doesn't. He
do
just goes in. Yeah.
because
And
he's a
plus,
ranger, and I
he
was
wants
like,
to like try to protect them if he could. That's one of the reasons he talked about
yeah, and
why he went in there.
it's a lot of things that are unspoken in there, which I like, and it does a good job without telling you that this is what you get it from. Based on dialogue, based on good writing, based on all these things, man. It's like it's one of the best movies ever made for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not just what is said. Like you said, it's not what's just said. It's the subtext of how they act, of what they do. You know, like you said, he wears a uniform wherever he goes because he can't let it go. Um, so I watched this movie. It's 3 hours long. Even though it was raw, I loved it. Funny thing is, I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, why does this keep reminding me of Lord of the Rings? And then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, duh, you idiot. It's in the Lord of the Rings was kind of in the same format. The Fellowship of the Ring was like the first third was just like, hey, we're in the Shire, we're having fun, we're buddies, we're loving each other, and then the middle half, we're in the shit now, and then the third half is like, I mean,
Everyone,
as a
some
whole,
friends die, some things happen, and it's them coming to
yeah,
terms with it and realizing that it just started. Just
yes,
because they're done with the war doesn't mean anything. It means that now they got to live with all of this stuff. And that's the journey, right? That's the whole piece. Like
mm-hmm.
when Christopher Walken's character Nikki and Mikey are going back and forth playing the roulette in Vietnam. That last moment when Christopher Walken smiles and realizes like he remembers him, he acknowledges everything, and he knows he's about to kill himself because they know, like, they have an idea mentally of like there's a bullet in there or not, right? You can tell. And you can tell like he's okay with that. That's what he wanted the entire time. He wanted to that's why he was giving money to Stevie, giving money to all these people back because he's earning all this money
Yeah,
surviving. And it's only when Mikey's there and he's going against Mikey that he dies. And that was what he wanted.
mm-hmm. I mean, it's like poetry, bro. Like as corny as it
Powerful
sounds.
stuff, dude. And 3 hours is it's a very long movie, but it doesn't feel like there's fluff. There's nothing. Everything had a purpose for all
I
the
was just about to
interactions.
say that.
All of it had a reason to flow. Where if you took anything out, you're going to be missing something very important.
There's nothing you would cut because everything was there for a reason. And like I said, it reminded me of Lord of the Rings, and then I remembered, oh yeah, um, J.R. Tolkien, he was a veteran, and part of his reasoning for writing Lord of the Rings was about PTSD. You know, about going through the shit, and then the friends come out and
He was a
how they
war
deal with it.
prisoner, and he got a lot of these battle ideas from his witness of when he was in the war,
Yeah, and just like
right?
Frodo, like how he couldn't let the shit go after everything was done. Everybody seemed to kind of be okay and kind
And
of
he
move
was
on
Russian,
in
by
their
the way. I
own
just
way.
want to let everyone know that came from a Russian family. So this is
Mhm.
when the revolution, all this stuff happened. Like that was some crazy shit.
Right. Yeah.
So that there's a lot of there's a lot to unpack, right? And then when he moves to England, him and C.S. Lewis become very close. C.S. Lewis, American author, writes the Narnia
Yeah.
series, and they're very
Yeah.
tight. And
That's
they're
why there's a
both
lot of similarities in their
they're
stuff.
both they're both strong Christians and all this stuff, and they kind of like have very similar novels in the same time period and all this stuff, and they understand each other's hardships, right? And I think they kind of feed off of that with each other
Yeah.
with the stuff, and not to digress with anything, but
Nah, it all comes together because Frodo reminded me of Nikki, and Sam reminded me of remind me again of Robert De Niro's character's name. Steve? Was it Steve? I think it was in Deer Hunter.
oh, Stevie, yeah. And I'm sorry,
Yeah,
J.R.
Steve.
Tolkien was Prussian, not Russian. I'm sorry, but close enough. It's Eastern European.
Hmm. Oh, Michael. Robert
Yeah,
De Niro's character name was Michael.
Mikey.
So Mikey. So Mikey reminded me of Samwise, like a guy who didn't have to be in the war, but because his
Mm-mm.
buddy was there, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming with you. and he was just loyal. So if it wasn't for Sam, he would have never gotten the ring to to Mount Doom.
And he
Same thing
was
with
beat
Robert
up
De
the
Niro.
most. Like you feel it, like at the end of
Yeah,
that movie, towards the end of the books, when Frodo's like, "I'm going to buy in the Gollum stuff and all this stuff," right? And you just know, like, he's going to betray you. And then he throws the greatest thing that ever happens. And the best moment is when that light bulb goes off and he realized he was fucked over by Gollum. And then Sam's like, "No, Sam." Same thing, right?
yes, yes, exactly. So that's why it reminded me so much of Lord of the Rings. But yeah, this movie, man, it's like it shows you so well how like a pebble you drop it into a river, and you just see the ripples keep going and going because you see the characters in the beginning because you get a lot of time with these characters, and then you see them in the end, and it's like damn, like they were so tight knit, but because of this, you could just feel how broken everybody is. It's just they're so shattered, but they're going to try their hardest to stick together and be together and fix each other. But it's kind of heartbreaking to see a group of tight knit friends go through that. It's
So
rough.
the actor John Cazale, who did John Cazale play? Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Stan
Stan. So that actor John Cazale, right? He was in Godfather. He played
played
Sonny.
Fredo.
Fredo. I'm sorry. He was killed, right? So he was dying from cancer when this movie was being filmed, and it died. He
Exactly.
died before it was released. He was dating Meryl Streep at the
Street.
time.
Mm.
Um, but dude, you can tell, like, damn man, like this is the last movie he ever did, and it's like a home run, you know?
I mean, he always played like second billing, but he always killed his parts. Dude was always on the shit, and it's crazy to think this dude is dying. He's still giving like a Oscar performance. Like it's fucking crazy, bro. Like,
Dude, he's done like some of the best movies you can think of in the 70s. He did Conversation, he did Dog Day Afternoon.
mhm.
Like he's done, I mean, obviously The Godfather, like come on, man. What more can you ask for? I mean, it's a shame that
I
he was
mean,
only
hell
like
of a
40
career.
something. Yeah, he was 42. That's it. Not much older than us.
Godfather Part Two. Like, damn. Yeah, man. He was a beast. He was a beast.
So, all right, I'm getting you to watch all these movies that you should have watched. And it's kind of crazy you going to film school and not even watching some of the best movies ever made for whatever reason. I know it's long, but you just got to suck it up and understand it's like being an artist, not going to the Louvre and not seeing the Mona Lisa, or not seeing this, not seeing that, and you call yourself an artist. I feel like if you're a film person, you have to watch these movies to understand like this was peak cinema.
hmm hmm And this was truly an art piece. And I was reading how the studio didn't know how to market it, so they did something kind
How
of smart.
how
They
can
put it
you?
in a few. They put it in a few theaters and let word of mouth
Yep.
do its job.
You
I
have
was like,
to,
that's smart.
because this is about Vietnam, and this was filmed during Vietnam, and it came out shortly after Vietnam ended.
Yeah.
That's tough. People are raw. Like you don't. I mean, here's the thing: you don't want to see something that was so divisive, right? Like it's not like this was not a popular thing then. Like this, a lot of
Right.
people were against the Vietnam War, and there's lots of protests. Even the people that came back, they were viewed and treated a certain way by a lot of the population, and so there was a lot going on, and that's kind of what I think stemmed this whole woke movement that existed up until
hmm
now. And it kind of started around then, right? And then you had the whole Nixon thing, and the Watergate, and then you had Carter trying to bring it back to like reality. So
hmm
it kind of like mirrors what we had up until recently, or even still going on. But dude's like, how do you have something like that so quick after like a couple years? Like how can you market something like that? Why? And if you do market it, why would you want to go see it? Especially with how many people were drafted and how many people got killed or were maimed or just like surviving and messed up in the head. Like, and for what? A lot of people feel like for what? For what did we get out of this?
I mean, I don't know why they made the movie, but I think it was an important movie that should have been shown because, like you said, so many people were against the war and had their own opinions. But how can you watch something like this and then when you see a veteran, you call them a baby killer or you throw shit at them or like I I feel like this is why this movie was made so you can see it through the eyes of people who lived through it and people who lived around it, who necessarily didn't go
It's like
there, but
American Sniper, right? So
yes.
it briefly talks about him being deployed in Iraq, but it's talking about how it shaped him. And this is what this is. It's how it shaped these guys. And how it's not
Mm,
just these guys that survived and came back, but the ones like their family, their friends that saw him in a certain way too. Like Mike
yeah,
was a completely different person. And then when he went hunting with Stan and Axel, Stan's doing his bullshit with the revolver. He takes the revolver and he starts doing the Russian roulette thing with him. And it's just like freaks him out.
yeah,
It's like, but this is what it did.
yeah,
These guys had no mind. Like these guys were prisoners of war, seeing their friends
yeah.
just get blasted by the Viet Cong by playing a gambling game. You know,
No. And
that's
just
what it
seeing like
is.
these actors, Christopher Walken, Robert De Niro, like seeing these guys younger, just seeing them give this kind of work, just especially
Dude, they're in their
Christopher Walken,
30s. They were in their
because like
30s.
Christopher Walken kind of became like a kind of a caricature of himself later in life,
But he was so
So
good.
right,
He was so good.
so that's why it's like it's kind of cool seeing them younger in their 30s and just
In the prime.
killing it
In their
in the prime.
prime, dude. Like prime. Robert De Niro's a loon now because he just goes on a tangent about stuff now, right? But I can't take away from the man's work. His body of work is immaculate.
I mean, Al Pacino's the same way, a loon now, but
All of them,
the
all of
body of
them. That's
work.
fine. I mean, everyone's entitled to opinions, and I 100% believe that, and that's never going to take away from how I enjoy their work. Like I
Right.
can't just because I disagree with someone, like I can't take away, like, dude, they've made my favorite movies ever. How can I hate them? Like,
This makes me want to watch Raging Bull because I haven't seen that
ooh,
either.
that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's also on the list.
Raging Bull. That's a good one. I like that. I mean, geez, dude, like Robert De Niro had how many movies just like kind of come in a string, and
Yeah,
it's just
facts,
like I'm like, you know
facts.
what?
Even
Raging
Godfather Part Two.
Bull. You saw The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
It kind of emulates that. Raging
Hmm.
Bull. Fighter is very reminiscent to me. Once you see that, you're like, okay, now I see why they did it the way they did.
Hmm. Gotcha, gotcha. And this came out in 1980 after what's it called?
Yeah,
Deer Hunter.
2 years.
Uh, but yeah, Deer Hunter was so raw, man. I mean, even the filming of it, like the slapping during the Russian roulette thing, that was
And he
all
would
real.
slap back.
They was all slapping each other for real.
I love it.
Uh, so when you see Robert De Niro get pissed, he's really pissed. And like at the end when Nikki spits in Robert De Niro's face,
That was real.
that was unscripted. Robert De Niro didn't know he was going to do that. The director told him to do that, to spit in his face. So his
Real.
reaction was like genuine.
Real. Real.
Like
It was like in The Godfather when they were beating each other up.
oh
Like that
yeah,
scene in that mess, like that was real. Because those two guys hated each other so much that Paulo was like, look, just go ahead, beat each other up and we're gonna film it. But I expect no more crap from you after this. Like you guys settle it.
nah, that's
That's
filmmaking. You
great,
couldn't do
isn't
that
it? Isn't
now.
that great? There's no way you could do that now. Are you kidding me? With the
They
amount
got they
of
got
laws that are in California,
intimacy.
there's no way.
They got intimacy. What coordinators on set now? That's a new. You ever heard of that? That's a new thing that they started like a couple years ago.
We wonder why
It's
sex
weird.
is messed up the way it is.
Intimacy
Jesus.
coordinators.
All right, let's not get into that. I don't want to go down that road ever because it's just that's going to bring up a whole nother thing. And the last thing I want to be labeled as part of some manosphere thing.
I know, right? But like that's I don't know. Stuff like that makes me think of like those gurus in Silicon Valley who are just like, you see this cup, it's half empty. You know what that means? It's like, come on, bro. You were just
All
working at
right,
Starbucks the other day.
so it's Christmas in a few days, Hanukkah in a
Right.
few days. Who
Hmm.
cares about Hanukkah? Not, it doesn't matter. But so holiday movies, I've watched Family Man so far, Santa Claus, The Grinch, all the good ones, right? And
Right.
me and you talked weeks ago, months ago, however long it was, because things have just kind of been happening and stuff. Okay. So like, hey, what's a movie that's holiday that we haven't seen that takes place on a holiday? And I said Rent, just because. And I know you've seen it, Rent, and multiple
Yeah.
times. And I'm just like,
No, I've
I
only
want
seen
to.
it once.
Okay,
I seen
well,
the
here's the
play and
thing.
I seen the movie once.
Me too. However, this was not one of those movies where it did a good play to film adaptation. But there's
Mm.
a lot of people that feel that way. That actually it was the opposite. That they did a good job with adaptation, but I don't feel that way. So I'm going
Hmm.
to watch it again, and I want you to take. Is it as good as some people, the fans, are making it out to be, or we're going to side with the critics on this, or whatever it is? This is definitely not Phantom of the Opera. You know,
Okay.
and look, we got 2025. Don't know if we're going to talk beforehand, so we got a good list of movies coming out in 25. Are you hopeful that 2025 is going to be good for entertainment? We got Zootopia 2 coming
No.
out. We got
Oh, okay.
we got Captain America, right? We got
Oh, that's gonna crash and burn.
you think?
Yes. All
What
the
makes you say
reshoots and
that?
rewrites.
No, that's true.
Bro, that movie's a clusterfuck, bro.
Yeah,
They had to add a villain. They had to add Giancarlo Esposito and reshoots just to fix it. Like you're adding a whole new villain
what?
with just
Why can't
reshoots?
they just use Harrison Ford's Red Hawk?
I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't know.
Because he's on a poster.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts come out.
Yes. Hmm.
Final Destination Bloodlines. Wow, how many of these are we going to have? We're going to have Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible 8.
Lilo and Stitch is
28
going to be a
years
bust too.
later. What are we doing with that? 28
What's
years
it
later.
called? Oh, 20. Did you see the trailer? It
Yes.
actually looks good.
Killian
And
Murphy's in
everybody's
it too,
coming
right?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
Killian
so.
Murphy.
Yeah. Aaron Taylor Johnson is the main guy from the
Oh, don't
trailer.
watch Craven, by the way.
Oh no, I did not. No.
Okay. The Bad Guys 2, Fantastic Four. Not seeing that.
No. No.
Freakier Friday.
Wait, what? Freakier
Freakier
Friday.
Friday. So it's Freaky Friday sequel.
Oh, is it Lindsay Lohan and what's it called?
Jamie Lee Curtis. I
Are
don't
they
know.
coming back?
Yes.
Really?
Okay. Downtown Abbey 3.
No, I didn't watch
Oh, it's
no
Downton Abbey.
Downton.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I didn't watch that period. So
Okay,
screw
we have
that.
another Saw movie, a Saw 11. Didn't know that was
No.
coming out. What are
You
we?
gonna see the
Tron.
cleaner with your girl Daisy Ridley?
I have her autograph next to Adam Driver because he helped me out with that. Tron Ares is coming out.
Checking that out. Checking. I love
Okay,
all the
what
Tron
about
movies.
what about Mortal Kombat 2?
No, that's gonna be ass because the first one was ass.
What
Um,
about Predator?
I'm intrigued. I just watched Alien Romulus. It was pretty good. It was pretty
It was
decent.
pretty good. All right, so what about Now You See Me 3?
No.
Okay, Zootopia 2, I'm seeing that. I love Zootopia.
Yes, I'm gonna check that out.
Avatar. You have
Mm.
to. We've already seen the first two. We got to do it for the sake of the others now.
That's coming out next year. I did not know that.
Yeah, it got pushed
I
back,
don't know.
remember?
I don't know, bro.
Dude, you
They're
have to
having another
because these two,
Wolfman.
the blue guys now have a red alien as a kid or something, or that's what I'm taking up from it.
Speaking of that, I see that a Wolfman is coming out. Nosferatu is getting good buzz, my friend. I am checking that out. It's coming out on Christmas, but I'm not going to see it on Christmas. But
What about
yeah,
Anaconda?
no,
All
no.
right, here's one I want to see. You ready? Marty
Hmm.
Supreme.
Marty Supreme.
Timothy
Oh,
Chalamet, Tyler the Creator, Gwyneth Paltrow's in it. It's an A24 movie.
oh, that's all you had to say. Oh,
So
Josh Safdie. Okay.
I just watched a movie, an A24 movie with Sebastian Stan recently.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about?
The Trump one.
No, where he had the disfigured face.
Oh, that one.
That was
No,
good.
I didn't see that. Oh
That
yeah.
was that was good. Are you going to watch Strangers? Scary movie.
Scary movie is
Yeah,
coming.
they're doing a
Oh
remake of
yeah,
Scary.
yeah. Oh, it's a remake.
Yeah, they're doing another one of
No,
it.
no,
Come on, man.
nah. Especially if only if the Wayne's brothers come back. If not, no, I'm not watching it.
They're in.
Not at
They're
all.
in it.
They're in it.
They're in it.
Then I'm watching it. I'm watching it.
There's this show called Shrinked on Apple TV with Jason Segel, Harrison Ford,
Yeah, I know
and
what you're talking about.
he's in it as well. Wins it, so it's I like it, but I only see him from the other guys in it. Anytime he makes a joke,
Oh, Damon Wayans Jr. Oh yeah.
try really hard not to be black or Hispanic.
Next time, me, you, library.
Oh man! Statistically, 1/3 of you are going to be dead by your next birthday.
Hashtag at the crime scene. Good tweet. Good tweet.
Oh man, that's such a good movie.
Such a gem.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well,
check out that Predator in the Badlands. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out for
yeah,
sure.
just because you have to. I did like the Predator with the American Indian tribe
Prey.
one. That was
Yeah,
good.
they're making a second one. Now,
Okay.
Alien Romulus was supposed to be the same way. It was supposed to be a Hulu release, but then they was like after Prey came out and made all that money, it was like, I mean, not made the money, but got all those good reviews. They was like, nah, we're putting
Romulus was
Alien
pretty good.
Romulus
It was
first.
kind of tough to follow in the beginning, and you're like, okay, come on, where are the aliens? And then they show up and they're everywhere, and I'm like, okay, I can get along with this now. I like it. You know, the ship that's floating in space, like very, very original aliens, and I like that. I'm like, it's very simple. You don't need to complicate this.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Last Friday is coming out next year. So the Last Friday, let's go. By the way, Friday after next is a Christmas movie. Fight me.
Mm.
Telling you right now, it is a Christmas movie.
So
Watch it
is
every
Rent.
year with my wife. Sure, sure.
Why
I
not?
guess.
You know, I mean, and the Grinch is the best one. And anyone who watches the animated version of the Grinch, not the cartoon, but the one that came out recently, is whack.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my wife loves it. I like the Jim Carrey one. That's just me.
His
You
laugh is
know.
great, dude. How he laughs.
Oh. I must stop the scriptures from coming. I love it, bro. I love it. But
Dinner with myself. I can't miss that again.
oh, yeah. Dinner with me, I can't cancel that again. His ad libs were so good, man. I
Dude,
love it.
all of it was completely unscripted, and they just went with it.
They just went with whatever he did.
They're like, okay, that's fine. I feel like that dude's just clinically like messed up in the head. Like you don't do something like that and not have something wrong with you.
Oh, I love Jim Carrey, man. That will forever be the best Grinch movie
Of all
of
time.
all time. all time. That last one was,
His voice,
but I
even. I'm
watch
like,
it.
what are we doing?
But I watch it because the wife likes it, so you know. But then she has to suffer through my Grinch. Like, yeah,
Suffer. There's
this
no
is the real
suffering with that.
Grinch. This is the real Grinch.
Jeffrey
Jim
Tambor as the
Carrey.
mayor is great.
I know. I love it, man. I love that movie, man. It's so funny, man. But yeah, man. It's another good one
Oh
on
yeah.
Nomads. I hope you're a little more optimistic about 2025 than I am. But yeah, my Nomads. Hope you learned something. Be creative. Peace.